Hi and welcome to Life with Tami. After many years of asking myself and more often asking the universe questions such as, who am I really? What is my life about? What is life in general about? Why are things the way they are? But more importantly, the question, how do I transform my life, my thoughts and my situations from what they are right now to how I desire and envisage them to be? Today, we delve deeper into understanding ourselves, into understanding others and the world we live in, all in the pursuit of bringing out the absolute best in ourselves. Here's what we have in store for you today.
Are you honest about who you are and where you're at? Accomplished, philosophical and practical, our guests Robin Wheeler, Chris Kennedy and Bonke Shipalana reveal their journeys towards self. Leading business thinker, writer and founder of Be Entrepreneuring, Robin Wheeler deserted his career in corporate human resources to, as he put it, be himself for a living. We're not inspiring on leadership and innovation. You can find him playing drums with his rock group, the Black Hotels.
Author, columnist, transformational specialist and entrepreneur Robin Wheeler has literally made a living by being himself and is helping businesses and individuals do the same. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Tami. Thanks for having me.
Now, being yourself for a living, that seems to be the byline of all the work that you do and is the theme that you've carried throughout your books. How did you come up with that and what does it actually mean?
Well, I studied psychology initially, which made sense of my purpose the way I understood it at the time. Traveled overseas, worked in the corporate world, and then I set out to follow this intuition and this vision, and being yourself for a living is the phrase that I came up with to best describe it.
And how did that journey begin for you?
Well, through desperation, really. The path that I was on just closed down, and as human beings we have inertia. We tend to stick to what we know well.
And that path is the psychology?
Yes, psychology in the corporate world.
So you thought that was your life. This is what you've studied, this is what you felt you were great at, and this was going to be your lifelong career.
Yeah.
But somewhere along the way, things changed.
Yes, my body just told me that I wasn't going to be going back to that job. And it took me a while to listen and to actually know what the alternatives were. But when I kind of let go of what I was used to and the way I was thinking about things and listened deeper to my feelings, to my heart and I suppose my soul, and I agreed to what they were telling me to do, then my body got well again. And so it was really about listening to myself and learning how to cooperate with my whole being.
I know Martha Beck also says this. She says that when you learn to listen to your body is a signpost.
Yes.
And it will tell you when something is right.
Yes.
And then it will also tell you when you're out of balance.
Yes.
So for you, what was your body telling you?
Well, it was telling me what I should stop doing, because I was doing things against it. I was forcing it to do things that my mind thought was important. And
like what? Make it practical for us.
Well, going into a job every day that fulfilled some of my needs, but it wasn't my truth,
Yes.
So my body stopped me doing that, and then what it really guided me to do was what I'd always wanted to do as a child. But as you grow up, school conditions you into certain values, and I was in my 20s, so you're quite ambitious at that stage. So all of those things kind of were what I thought my life was about, but my whole being sort of showed me, look, that thing that you've always known could happen, that deep intuition of how you can actually live, that as a child in an innocent way you can do, I went back to that and I just started living that way.
And what was that way?
Well, it's a feeling that just being who I am is sufficient and good enough for what it is, and that will be rewarded by the world, will be supported by the world. But it's not that easy, because you're going out on your own, you're taking risks, you kind of going up against the norm in society. So you've kind of got to experiment with what doesn't work to find out what does, and find out who you're not before you find out who you are.
And I really like the way you've structured your books, in the sense that they're very much in a question and answer type of format. It's almost like you have thoughts that get dropped down into
Exactly.
you from the universe, and then you expand on those thoughts. What would you say have been like the most surprising insights, even for you? Things that you came up with and you thought, wow, did that really come up from me?
Yeah, it's all full of surprises, really, because when you're in that receptive state, it's kind of the feminine side where you just allow things to happen rather than the masculine, which is to kind of decide and pursue. And life, being yourself for a living, is about a mixture of those two things, a healthy balance of being creative and proactive and then being receptive. So my writing is about disposing myself to what wants to be said, really, and then kind of I'm as much the reader as I'm the writer.
So how does a person move from a point of discontent where you can't wake up in the morning? I've actually been through that myself, where you're lying in bed and you don't want to go to this job.
Yes.
Like everything inside of you says no, and you literally feel like something's pressing you down, and you can't get up.
Yes.
So how does one make a shift and then create an environment that will facilitate that shift?
You start to discover your trust, your inner trust, because we are one with the universe. It's just in our minds that we've separated ourselves. So it's that illusion that falls away, and it usually has to crumble through some sort of, I say, either inspiration or desperation, or usually a combination of the two. When you feel that surge of deep meaning driving you to do what you want to do, which usually comes at a time where all previous avenues close down. So if you're feeling that, that's a good sign, because that discontent is the seed of the real question of who you really are.
Divine discontent.
Yes.
Because it will lead you to your divine self.
Exactly.
So feeling down, feeling depressed is not necessarily a negative thing.
Yes.
At all. You can actually use that to catapult yourself to the next position. And I guess it's more a pursuit of meaning and a pursuit of self as opposed to a pursuit of happiness. Yeah. Which is what I think a lot of people are after. If you ask somebody, what do you want? I just want to be happy. But perhaps that is not what we should be looking for, happiness. Perhaps we should be looking at an understanding. What do you think about that?
We are happy. So if you're looking for happiness, you're going against yourself and you'll never find it. You have to just be, and happiness comes naturally from that. It's our intrinsic nature. It's just a joy that bubbles up when you are in tune with the moment. So if you're bringing yourself into the now, if you can be present, that joy, you don't have to achieve happiness. Achievement is a worldly thing, and being yourself and being happy is kind of a state of the beyond that just comes through.
And I guess it's perhaps more joy than happiness.
Yes.
Because joy, at least to me, this is how it feels like. Joy to me feels like a being, a state of being.
Exactly.
While happiness is something that can come and go.
Yes.
You feel happy or you are unhappy.
Yes.
But joy, even in the midst of trouble,
yes,
you can still experience that peace and that serenity and that sense of understanding.
Yes, that connection and that sense of true self. And then beyond joy is bliss, where even if the surface is going up and down,
yes,
you're in touch with the space between things. You're in touch with the infinity of the moment. And that bliss, you realize that the ups and downs are really just the same thing. They're just tensions that come and go. But there's something eternal that's always with you. And if you can connect with that, then you're really being yourself.
How would you describe the books that you've written, your insights?
Well, on one level, they're therapy. They're how I deal with those fluctuations and the fears and the joys and the inspirations. So they're ways of processing the energies, the emotions of a day. It's a form of meditation for me. It's a creative expression. But the books for me are not just about what I'm writing. It's actually what's between the words that comes through. It's kind of the state of presence that I'm in when I'm writing. And then my own publishing company publishes them, so I have full editorial freedom. And so the book is more than just what I'm saying. I'm using the world as my canvas, and I'm using my business, all of my endeavors to express myself and to give the highest gesture that I can to my fellow human beings.
What would you say is the purpose of your life?
I wouldn't know that. I suppose.
Well, right now, does it actually fluctuate? Does it change from day to day, from experience to experience?
Yes. Look, I could come up with an explanation, and I could say, in a nice sort of elevator speech, I'm being myself for a living, and by doing that, helping other people do the same. And that's my vision for humanity. And that sounds wonderful. And if that happens through my life, then certainly that would be a commendable thing. But
it's a tall order, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's a tall order. It might be a little bit egotistical even. My purpose is just to go deeper and deeper into the mystery, and not to try and explain it or justify it or rationalize it, but just to be in the moment, and the big picture takes care of itself.
So that is your approach. So you don't really want to be emphatic about what you're doing. because you view that as being egotistical. So your approach is more of laissez-faire, you know, let things be.
Yes.
But there are other people who are wired differently. Perhaps for them, being confident in who they are and assertive and saying, this is who I am, and having that definition is important. How would you work with somebody with that mind frame or approach to life?
Well, the first person I've got to work with is myself. So even though I might have accessed certain transcendent experiences, I'm still grappling with my day-to-day self. So I'm still going through all those emotions, and I still have to interact with the world. So I'm still being proactive. I still have things I would like to do. Then I have to create those and go out and go through the experience of realizing them in the world. And then it's with understanding and sort of a compassionate empathy that I deal with other people.
Thank you so much for that.
Thanks.
And just for sharing your unique way of being. It really just gives you permission to be who you are, to discover yourself and take the time and embrace all of yourself. I guess your greatness as well as your flaws. And only then can you really go out there and be a gift to the entire world. We'll be right back.
Life with Tommy.